and welcome back to Dragon Talk. How's it going?
Yay!
Get some clapping.
Yeah, Dragon Talk!
We have two amazing guests with us here today. We have from Dwarven Forge, Nina Heath and Selina Heinen. Hello.
Yay!
All the way from sunny Brooklyn, New York.
It's sunny today.
Yay!
That counts. That's Greg's old stomping grounds.
It's true.
He wants to spend an hour talking to you about Brooklyn.
That's really all I want to do. Nina, we saw each other there in February.
Yeah, you came and visited. That was great.
It was so fun, and I felt like I was back at home, not only because of being around where I used to live, but your hospitality there was amazing.
Did you get to go to their studio?
I don't think the one you guys are in now, right? You've moved, right?
We were in the process of expanding into an additional space. So you saw the old one with all of our super top secret prototypes in it.
Oh, really?
It was top secret at the
That
time.
would be so fun.
Some of it still is.
Ooh, I won't spoil anything. But for those who may not know exactly what you do for Dwarven Forge, why don't you give a little bit of description of all the things that Nina does, and then we'll talk to Selina and find out all about her.
Will do. So I'm Nina Heath. I'm one of the senior creatives at Dwarven Forge. I'm on one of the lead sculptors. I'm the director of social media. Selina and I are actually the entire social media marketing community outreach team.
Nice.
So if you're talking to us online and you're getting a little salty, you can picture us at our desk.
This is actually my desk, so I'll be right here sobbing.
Yeah, to really set the scene.
That's beautiful.
Dwarven Forge on the internet, you're probably talking to either me or Selina. So also, for those of you who have backed one of our Kickstarters, you may normally know me as Valorian Seneschal or Neela the Paladin. And I am absolutely thrilled to be here and talking to you guys.
We're thrilled to be talking to you.
And so, Selina, what's exactly you're only doing social media, or you do other stuff as well?
So at this company, we all wear many hats. I was brought on to do the video work. My official title here is Video Wizard because there's a lot of wizardry when it comes to video creation. There's a bajillion steps, and I do all of them, from writing to producing to directing to filming to editing to posting, and then we do social media and the marketing. I see all the video content through and through, and then I just do regular social media monitoring with Nina, and we do social outreach and other marketing stuff.
Brainstorming.
Yes.
We're a tiny company, so when Selina came on, she was just enthusiastic to help with everything. And I had been doing a lot, and she's totally stepped up and jumped in.
Sweet.
That must be a relief.
For a small company like that, that's really important to have those type of go-getters.
Yeah. So before this interview, Greg and I were talking about how there's a lot of love for the two of you in the community. Because when we had announced that you were going to be on Dragon Talk, and then you guys were talking about being on the show, I have never seen so many people like yes, I love them. They're amazing. We actually even had counterparts at our parent company, our coworker, our peers from Hasbro, email us to say how much they love you guys too, and they were really excited about. And I was like, "You guys listen to Dragon Talk?"
I know, we're like, "Wait, you know what we're doing?"
Huh? You know
if
my
that's
name?
that's not a good thing.
Shoot.
With Twitter.
Yeah.
Had a really good time.
Yeah, it's been a fun week. And your show was hilarious. I don't know why you're surprised that people listen to it.
Oh,
I'm always surprised.
I know, right? Well, because Shelly doesn't
I actually don't listen.
She kind of like pretends that this is a vacuum.
If I weren't on it, I could listen to it. But I can't.
understand.
I can't hear me. I'm sorry for everybody who has to listen. Sorry. I'm not going anywhere. I'm just not going to listen.
I feel about watching our Kickstarter videos.
It's hard.
You guys had a recent Kickstarter out there. Let's talk about that. What's that all about? The lava and things that people might have seen at D&D Live.
Yeah, so our latest Kickstarter, we journeyed into the 9 hells.
All right.
We created lava terrain, which is something we've been wanting to revisit since KS2, which was just a lava paint scheme on cavern sculpts. But for this new hellscape set, we sculpted it from beginning to end to be lava flows. And then when we got further along in the project, we're like, how would devils decorate their cribs? So
fascinating.
Hey MTV, welcome to my hell.
Yeah.
No, yeah, this we did MTV Cribs Hellscape.
I love this.
The thing is like the person who's showing off the house doesn't actually get to leave because it is hell.
Oops.
They're locked in. They're locked in.
Okay, so what research goes into something like that when you're brainstorming ideas for like what would hell look like? How would devils decorate? Like where are you getting like your inspiration from?
Well, we start with the materials that you guys provide, honestly. Reading about how this is supposed to look, we thought about devils being lawful evil and how that would affect the way they go about building things. And in addition to that, Eli Alexander, another one of the lead sculptors, and we did so much photo research into how lava looks and how it moves.
There's actually a video on our YouTube where the artists are talking about the inspiration and the whole process of making these pieces and this whole Kickstarter. So you should check that out. It's called The Making of Hellscape on our YouTube.
Yes.
As Video Wizard, did you make that happen?
Did you make that?
Yeah, that was on me.
Yeah.
Are you really the only person in the company that's doing videos? Do you do all the videos?
Of freelancers. So for big projects like Kickstarters, I bring in a cinematographer, a couple PAs, and an assistant editor. So I do the major videos, like the intro video, that Making of Hellscape video. And then for this recent Kickstarter, my assistant, Chris London, he came in and helped me finish the intro video because I was away in Europe because we had really great timing with setting along Kickstarter. So he put the finishing touches on the intro video, and then he cut all of the walkthroughs. Meanwhile, our cinematographer, Aaron Blanton, filmed all of it with a whole team of incredible PAs.
Nice. It takes a village to create something like that, where you're like, all right, that's just a minute of video. It can't be that hard, but you're like, all right, no.
Weeks of shooting.
Oh my God, so much shooting. And then so much editing. I think we probably made at least 15 videos for this Kickstarter. And for one person to do that alone is impossible. So I have some help that swoops in and then they swoop back out.
I love it. It's a lot like podcasting where, Shelly does it all.
15 hours.
You have to do everything. It's so hard.
I do. Most people think I just like show up at noon and sit down. But no. The real brains behind the operation. Not true at all. So just I love the what you guys create. I think I just love miniature things anyway. So it's just fascinating the amount of detail that is in this, and knowing like you're actually sitting there studying hours of footage, watching lava slowly drip away. But like, so what is the timeline from like how long does it take to make this stuff a reality?
Usually our production schedule is about a year. The Hellscape one was a lot faster. We weren't actually even planning initially to do a Kickstarter in June. It just worked out as being the best time for the production to get the pieces to the backers in as timely a fashion as we could. But we've been working on the lava pieces since, was that November that you shot that first?
Yeah, the first round of filming happened in November, but I think you guys had started in September or October.
Right, so October, and then we launched in June.
Wow. So math, right. Nine months?
That doesn't seem like
10 months?
A very long time.
Yeah, it was a baby. We had a little evil baby.
Little evil. Hellboy.
It's amazing.
Yeah, and I saw, as we were saying, I saw it in February. Some of the prototypes and the things that were being worked on.
Sculpts.
Yeah, and that was really great because I'm like, oh, I didn't know you guys. I had no idea what you guys were working on. I'm like, this is the best synergy ever because we have this thing that's happening under NDA. We told you.
Fun coincidence.
Yes, I love when synergy happens like that. And it ended up being great. And obviously the work that Nate and Shad Ross put into making that hellscape in the front of the D&D Live
so
thing.
Cool.
I mean, I think people were just really excited for you guys to talk about this Kickstarter right after that.
We're so thrilled to be a part of that.
It looked awesome.
It was truly amazing.
What was it like for you, Nina, seeing like your work on being, sculpting and making all this happen, and then all of a sudden seeing it on a stage like that?
A lot of time, like you make it and it goes off to your backers or to whoever is buying it, and you don't get to see it in use.
Well, that's actually the great thing about social media. Like, literally on Twitter last night, I tweeted at somebody, is it indecent how excited I get to see what people build with what I help make?
No.
Because I'm like giddy. I'm like sitting there with my phone like, oh my God, I love your build. I'm going to repost it. The community is amazing. And I just, honestly, everyone post your builds, tag us. I want to see every single one of them.
I want to see them too.
It's got to be a good motivator too when you're like,
definitely.
I feel down, it's not working, but let me just go scroll through these pictures of people's creativity, and then you're like, get a shot of energy again, right?
Mm-hmm.
And the amount of detail, and I know that you like to hide little things in the sculpts for people to find.
Uh-huh.
You do? Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah.
Look harder, Tito.
I guess I'm not as observant as I thought I was.
When you get the sets, you got to turn the pieces in all different directions because me, Eli, Michelle, we've all hidden weird little things in little places.
Like what?
Touches, right?
Yeah, thoughtful touches. That's what we call them. My favorite one from Hellscape is I hid a little imp skeleton on the back of one of the pieces.
Oh,
That's got to be so tiny.
Oh yeah,
It's got to be like super, super tiny.
Oh, she's grabbing it.
All right.
We were play testing last night, and this was one of the pieces. So I can't tell if it's in focus.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah.
Oh, it looks like a fossil.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's fossilized, and that's the front. Eli,
So lava.
really great lava waterfall flow.
It really is. It's lava.
That's real lava.
Real lava.
Yeah, frozen in.
Oh my God, it's amazing.
Give it to the video professional to show it.
Oh yeah. Yep.
Oh,
Yeah,
I love that.
She's showing it off way better.
It's my job.
I love the skeleton though, because there is the theory that people seeing the skeletons of dinosaurs in rocks is what created the mythology behind dragons.
Yeah.
Right?
It's awesome.
And you're basically doing that, but in imp form.
Oh yeah, but it's about 2 times the size of a regular 28 millimeter scale human, so he's kind of a big imp.
Even scarier.
Big boy.
Yep. So how does one get into the line of work that you both are doing?
By accident.
Purely by accident.
Us too.
Yeah.
I ended up here because I worked with Nate, our creative director. We worked in advertising together. He is a director and editor, as well as everything else he does here. This was kind of his side hustle. But when the company we worked for went under, he came here as a partner, and then he was like, well, you're coming with me. And that's how I ended up here.
Nice.
Like Jerry Maguire style?
Probably. I don't understand that.
Oh. Whatever. Look it up. It's a thing.
Okay.
I was just going to describe it. I'm like, that's not going to be worthwhile.
Watch it.
Yeah.
I will Google it later. I'll make a note.
You Googleize it. It's good. I love that we all probably didn't go to school to make D&D products.
Oh no!
But Nina, you went to art school, right?
Science.
Oh, yeah. You
After graduating with my political science degree, I mainly just use that as a coaster. I keep it on my desk and I put mugs on it. But anyway, yeah, I studied art after that. And that's actually how I ended up here, is I was studying at one of the schools that Stefan Picorni, our CEO, had also attended. And he pulls students from the school occasionally to do work, at least during the early Kickstarters. And he had hired a friend of mine, and she couldn't show up anymore. So she's like, you want to go to this random job for me? And I show up, and it's flippin' Dwarven Forge.
Oh my God. She called it just a random job.
Well, she wasn't into Dungeons and Dragons, so she didn't know what she had.
Right.
And I told Stefan, I was like, I'll take all of these home and paint them for you. And if you don't like it, you don't have to pay me.
Wow.
Because that's badly I wanted to continue.
That's so fun.
Well, I take it he liked it.
He did, and I'm still here.
Yay! And doing amazing work. When let's talk about your first D&D experience. I want to find out what it was like. What about fantasy drew you in?
Selina, you want to go?
Yeah, I'll go first. So Nate described me as D&D curious before I met him. And it was like, I'd heard of it. I had some friends who went to college and then played it, but I never had the opportunity. And then I started working here. And so I'm very lucky to have had my first D&D experience on Dwarven Forge terrain.
Yeah.
And I'm obsessed with it now. I've taught most of my friends how to play, and I DM sometimes out of necessity, as one does. And I love it. I'm in it. Here I am on the Dungeons and Dragons podcast. So.
What kind of characters do you typically play?
So my first character is a tiefling paladin. They just needed a tank to the existing party. But in some of my other games, my favorite one, her name is Xana. She's a 12-year-old gnome barbarian who was literally raised by wolves. And she has almost no charisma because she's not used to society. And she has a great character voice. It's, "Hi, my name's Xana." She's so little and going through puberty.
Oh, that's adorable.
Aren't used to speaking. She's a maniac. She's basically an ankle biter.
Small feral child.
Yeah, she's a small feral child.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds very similar to the forest gnome paladin that I've been playing with Merles' group. I just love gnomes, and they play.
We all love gnomes so
that
much.
voice. You could just you immediately feel like a gnome when you go that little like high pitched like.
Do you have a voice for your gnome?
I do. I'm trying to. No, I gotta like.
Let's hear it.
Oh, fuck. How does it go?
Channel.
I'm not trying to remember. It goes like because she's a high intelligence but a very low wisdom. So she's very curious and wants to find out everything, but makes very bad decisions. So she'll always be like, "Yeah, let's go ahead and fight. I think it's time. What are you guys doing? Okay."
Oh.
Yeah, she's very excitable and very high. That's not even really what it is. I have to get into it a little bit before I get it.
Think about it.
Let's do a little role play right now.
Yeah.
Hi, Xana, what's your name?
I don't know, but why do you talk like that?
Because I'm not good at it.
I have a dragon friend. He also can't talk very well.
Oh, we should be friends.
I love that voice.
I also play with a lot of people who don't use voices, so I am the one who's the weirdo, and that helps because I immediately started adopting your tone of voice, which I do in conversation with people. Like when they have an accent, do you ever do that? Where you're like, "Oh, you're talking in British. Well, I'm going to as well."
Oh, yeah.
It's basically what you and Shelly and I do.
So when I'm going through all the footage from filming, we just have this habit of only speaking in a random accent that day. And so I'll pull a clip where we're speaking in like a German accent. And then this is before I add the like voiceover. So I have like German to French to Russian, and it gets pretty crazy in the studio because you're doing like 12-hour days and everyone's tired, and it gets weird.
Yeah.
I'm definitely like going all out with the accents in the games.
Mm-hmm.
It helps.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's the secret of podcasting. I don't know if anybody knows that.
Voices.
It's voices.
Just voices. It's very important to a podcast. I'm glad we figured that out.
It's true.
Yeah, we should write a book.
Nina,
So Nina, you've been playing D&D for a long time, right?
I know. I was just going to say
So
you're good. She's good.
Over a decade. My first experience, though, with it is actually kind of funny. In the town where I grew up, there was only one sort of gaming and comic book shop. I used to go there with an older cousin, and they had this room where people would be playing Magic the Gathering and D&D. But the first time I saw it, I was like this little kid. I'm not really sure even how old I was, but just this like tiny little weirdo with gigantic glasses. And I saw these people playing a game, and I like stood there watching them. And I was like, oh my God, they're playing Lord of the Rings. Because I didn't know what D&D was.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like, oh my God, they're wizards. Like, this is cool. And so, of course, I walk up. I'm like, what are you guys doing? And they're like, whose kid is this?
Oh. There's a kid on the loose.
But ever since then, I sort of pursued it. I'm like, who do I know that can DM? Because as a kid or even a preteen, it was this like inaccessible thing. Growing up in the 90s, you couldn't play with people on the internet really. So you had to find a local group, find someone that had a set of rules, someone that was willing to run a game, get people to do it, get them to all show up at the same time in the same place. So it wasn't until I moved to New York and had the benefit of like meetup groups and so many game stores that I was able to play with any regularity.
That's why Roll20 is great. Like what an amazing thing to have now to just like jump on and find
kids these days. They don't know.
They have no idea how much easier it is.
Yep.
Player's Handbook is like a free PDF online, so that makes it even easier.
Are you guys in New York right now?
It's Brooklyn.
Ignore the siren.
I know.
Does that bring you?
It does. It brought me back.
Like
it totally brought me back.
Last podcast as free women.
Yeah, we're going on the run.
Oh man, Thelma and Louise.
Louise.
Yeah.
Drive that car right off the cliff.
Nina and Selena. It's
Selena, if you will.
Selena.
Selena.
Selena is the name of the demon that would form if we melded together.
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's try that live on Dragon Talk.
I want to see
We're
it.
a little melding together.
It's like a Stranger Things 3 reference here.
Yeah.
Just finished watching that. No spoilers.
No
Me
spoilers.
Too.
But
I just finished it too.
Me too. I think
Okay.
we all did. We all
I'm not
watched it
going
at
to
the same
say
time.
anything.
But everyone dies
But
at the
I
end.
really wanna talk
The ship goes down. It was a ghost the whole time.
Yeah. It was a guy in a mask.
Anyway.
That's amazing, though, that like we do have those tools to be able to play online with Roll20 and things like that. But do you ever feel like, well, we're making these products for in-person play and having it be like on the table and that conflict?
It helps with online play too, especially if people can get a camera on it. Everybody can see exactly where they are in relation to each other and what they're fighting.
Yeah.
So I think it's great. It's just a great tool for everybody to get on the same page with what's happening, and it speeds up all combat encounters.
Yeah. And it slows down setup time a little bit, I guess, or at least
It's set up in advance, and it's fun.
Yeah. Well, I think that's true. I mean, I played with a bunch of people who have used Dwarven Forge stuff, and I really like the idea of setting it up in a place that people can't see. So that people will do like, and not to drop names, but Mr. Joe Manganello, when he was dungeon mastering, he had like set up in his like closet, and then when we got to a new room or a new encounter, he could just go to his closet and take out the already set up room and drop it on the table. And I was like, oh my gosh, that's the greatest thing in the world. I want to be able to do that.
Yes, one day.
We have these things called terrain trays.
Yes.
And they're really great for flying rooms in and out, for rapid fire reveals on your table. Because all of our new pieces have anchor magnets, and so they stick to the metal tray, and you can put it upside down and everything.
Oh, that's really cool.
Yeah, we had to come up with a solution for how to get things in quickly because you don't want the pieces just flying everywhere.
So are you coming up with these types of things in response to like the increase in streaming and like live games and things like that? Has that impacted how you guys are doing any work? Or was this a response to something else, or just it's just cool?
It's something that has been a thought pretty much continuously, is like, how can we make this easier for people to use?
Yeah.
And there's definitely a lot more people using it now than there used to be. And I think that's definitely a result of the stream. So we're getting all this really great feedback from all these different people.
And during the Kickstarter, in the comments, we have a lot of people commenting like, well, did you think of doing this? And sometimes we're like, oh, that's a good idea. Add it to the list. And then we'll at least have like a sculpt for them by the end of the campaign. So like the input from Kickstarter backers is like crucial. That's why we choose to do Kickstarter over pre-sale or some other method, because it's not a finished product, and this is for everyone. It's not just for us. It's not just our vision. It's everyone's vision. So we want to bring what everyone has to every piece.
You've done a really good job of curating that community to a certain extent, where people feel, I mean, even, what Nina was saying about like just being able to see everybody's sculpts and builds and how they did it. That's one of the really exciting parts about seeing all of it for myself, on social media, is that like everybody's supportive and really excited about what everyone else is doing in the community. And I think it's kind of indicative of like the DIY spirit that's been behind D&D, since the 70s. And you guys are just doing it more, but in this, tactile sculpt, type thing. I love it.
Yeah, definitely. I consider it DIY until it gets sent to the factory. So.
DIY.
Impressive DIY.
What a great podcast idea. Maybe we should.
That is a great podcast.
Shh,
Write that down.
I'm trademarking it already.
Greg squatting on the name.
I'm cyber squatting on D&DIY. That and Air D&D. I need a.
Oh, wow.
Oh, yeah.
What would that be?
It's a little bit like a travel show that would go to fantastic destinations.
Yeah, okay. I think someone might be doing
Air D&D, where you can go and rent out people's game rooms and all of their accoutrements. Like,
Yeah.
I like to play D&D, but I don't have all this cool equipment or like awesome terrain stuff, and nor do I have a place to play. And then you can just be like, oh, you can come hang out in my game room, $20 an hour.
There are some amazing
Cha-ching.
things out there. I don't know if you've seen the pictures of Joe Manganiello's, I think he calls it the Gary Gygax Memorial Dungeon.
Yeah.
And it's amazing.
Wouldn't it
There
be
are
cool?
some like DMs for hire. I've definitely seen them.
Yeah.
It's like, come to my house. I have Dwarven Forge and minis and everything, and you just pay like an hourly thing, and they come up with a great story for you. I think that's a really interesting business thing.
Yep. There was actually just that article about DMs for hire in like Forbes or
Bloomberg.
something. Bloomberg.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. It's a pretty lucrative side hustle.
And I think you guys are an important part of that, because it does create, you got to have a library of terrain to be able to do different things. And I think over the time of you doing all the Kickstarters you've been doing, you've created this great, just, variety of pieces that people can use.
Yeah.
Yeah. Our catalog's really big. I don't know how we're going to fit it all on the table at Gen Con.
Yeah. We have a lot to show off at Gen Con. It's a stress.
Are you two going to be at Gen Con?
We
will.
be there.
Awesome. Good.
No one.
Yeah, we're part of the convention committee. You can't escape us.
I think that's good.
How many of them have you been to?
This will be my third Gen Con.
This is my second Gen Con, and then we both went to PAX East this previous spring.
I've kind of stopped going to conventions that I'm not working at.
It's overwhelming. I don't like it anymore.
Yeah.
I used to go to New York Comic Con every year, but it's overwhelming.
There is a thing, little weird story, but we got some recognition here at Wizards of the Coast amongst what we were doing here for D&D, and part of the reward was, oh yeah, you get to go to any game convention of your choice. And I'm like, why? I will most likely be working there, and if I'm not, I don't want to go.
That is kind of
Can we do something here, local, with family?
Just give me
involved?
a hotel room.
Yeah, right.
I'll just take the hotel room. I don't want to
Can we
go.
in a sauna? Thank heat.
Yes, right.
Yeah.
Can I just live in the sauna, please?
Yeah, just a day off.
Imagine how wet the character
It would be
sheets
bad.
would get. That
It
would
wouldn't
be
be good.
terrible.
Yeah, now we have to design, plastic laminated.
Yeah.
Anyway.
More ideas that we're coming up with here on this. See, that's when you talk to creative people. You just get nonstop more ideas coming out.
Well, I've already copyrighted that one.
Already?
Like while we're here, I'm actively copyrighting.
There's a lot of squatting going on around here with these copywriting and trademarking.
But Gen Con's going to be exciting for all of the stuff that you'll be able to do and interact with your fans, right? Like that's a big part of what that is.
Yeah, and at this Gen Con, we are premiering a new thing that we have an exclusive sneak preview for the Dragon Talk viewers.
Ooh.
What?
Do you want to show that off?
Yes.
So
Again, this is why you need to
show
watch the stream.
So we partnered with ISO for the new Pathfinder 2 Plaguestone set.
Uh-huh.
We made terrain that can be used for any rules edition, but I sculpted some mutant plants that I'm kind of proud of. Selena's going to show them off because I'm bad with the camera, but
what? Oh my god! So it's like a big flower coming out of a tile, and the petals.
My God!
They almost look like not to reference Stranger Things again, but it looks like a Demogorgon kind of opening up with like a spider's web of vines around it. Ooh.
So
that
the inspiration
is amazing.
A lot of the same things, like a corpse flower, but also with a lot of animal qualities.
Yeah.
There is to think that you sculpted this. There is amazing amount of detail in that.
So that one shoots spores.
Does that one have something
Spores?
secret inside? Is there a secret? You don't have to tell us what it is, but just is it there?
This one, no, actually.
Okay.
It's very
That's good.
detailed.
They all don't. They all shouldn't have it. You know.
The pieces that we tend to hide things are the big ones with lots of faces for room for sculpting. The miniatures, the monsters, things like that. There's a couple hidden on some of them, like our Elder Earth Elemental Eli hid a bird's nest on his neck. So anyone that has that piece, look for it.
And the Apex Primordial from our Caverns Deep Kickstarter has a lot of thoughtful touches in there. We actually can't, when he told us how many, we were like, but we didn't find that many. And it became a game of I Spy.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
And here's another sculpt.
Ooh.
So this is our Vine Lasher.
Ooh.
Shelley, you get to describe this one.
No. It's really creepy. Almost like a scorpion-ish, but it's got 3 tails in the back, and I'm really not good at describing these things.
You gotta hone this dungeon mastering skills here.
I can't do it. What is this? What is this called?
This is the Vine Lasher. It grabs you
Oh, he's got a
and
mouth too.
shoves you into its mouth.
Yep, there's this little red mouth on its back, and it's got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 arms, tentacles.
Oh, it's a massive tentacle.
It's just all viney, thorny tentacles to grab you.
It's a pretty color. Don't want to encounter that thing.
I could see that being
none
like
of this friendly.
part of the Feywild, thing that could happen there, or the undead flowers.
Wild. Good idea.
Yeah. Copyright it.
No one's ever said Feywild before.
Oh, I just mean the idea of doing pieces for it.
Yeah.
Oh, that would
Yes.
be amazing.
That's genius.
You guys are really slow playing this.
Don't worry
Secrets
about it.
upon secrets.
Oh, those are beautiful.
I think your hair, Selena, also would fit very well in the Feywild.
Yeah, it's also poisonous.
Radioactive.
So for the listeners at home, I have lime bright electric green roots with fluorescent yellow everywhere else, and eyeshadow that matches.
Look for the hair at Gen Con.
Yes, you'll stand out. Will it be that color by Gen Con, though? It changes.
Yeah. That's a week from now. I don't have time. Too much packing to do.
What is it like preparing to pack out a booth like this?
Oh,
Because
yeah.
a lot of it has to do with displaying these pieces, right?
You know what? That's a lot to think about. Maybe we should move on.
I saw the stress levels rise in your eyes.
Don't
there
talk
as I said
about
that.
it.
Conventions are great. We love it. It's going to be so much fun.
So are you guys going to be on any panels or anything also while you're there?
No panels. Well, I'm in 2 streams.
Nice.
One stream, it's actually set in Eberron, which is interesting because I'm completely unfamiliar with that setting. I have never been in a game set there. And I'm going to be playing a geriatric rogue who's coming out of retirement because she gambled away her grandchildren's college fund on games in the nursing home. So.
In the nursing home.
And that's going to be in Rudy Woutenberg's stream. He's the DM.
Nice.
Nate will also be in that game. That's Thursday at 10 a.m.
Yes.
Thursday at 10 a.m. and it'll be on the Gen Con live stream.
Sweet.
And then we'll have our big stream, which Nate is DMing, and we have some great guests for that. That one is Saturday at 10 to 12. We still have a couple tickets available for it. And the guests right now are Stefan Picorni, Satine Phoenix, Erica Ishii, Amy Dallin. Is that everybody?
I love all those people.
Yep.
Fun. Wait, and what's the timing for that one?
That's Saturday at 10.
Saturday.
Awesome. Check out the
And then,
Gen Con
busy
channel
show.
for that.
Nina's going to be on the Gen Con live stream talking about artistry on Sunday, also at 10? 12?
That's Sunday at 12, and that'll be me, Toby Lieberson, and Eli Alexander. And I'm just checking on the names for the stream real quick, and Selena's going to talk about something really fun.
Yeah.
She's got the throwing it to someone else style down.
There we go. That's how things are here. We have because there's only maybe 12 to 15 of us that work here, so there's a lot of bouncing back and forth, and everyone pretty much has a say in what everyone else does, and that's why collaboration is so important here, because nothing is ever just one person's thing. Then everyone gets to suggest a lot to make everything greater, and that's
like D&D.
All right, so the lineup for the stream: Stefan Picorni, Ember Moon, Satine,
Ember.
Amy Dallin.
That's it.
Oh, that's going to be amazing.
Yes,
feel
he was
like
on your show last week.
Yeah.
She was. Yeah.
Great episode.
She's amazing.
So we were talking about collaboration.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I was actually going to something else that I think is really important, in that our office has such a great mix of people, not only in the trades we perform, but also in the genetic makeup. We not even
We
just
are
that.
Scientific.
The DNA of Dwarven Forge.
So we have everyone from a little bit from almost every walk of life. We have a lot of women. We have people of color. We have people of different sexual orientations. Being like a straight cis male is rare, I guess. There's maybe like 4 in this entire company, and we really pride ourselves on that, because having all this diversity also helps make our product great, and because we always have everyone's perspective in mind.
Absolutely. I think that's a big part of the D&D community, too, now, is that it's growing and including so many groups that you might not have thought of, 30 years ago as being like, that's the typical D&D person. Like, well, there's no typical D&D person in my mind anymore. It's everybody from every walk of life, as you're saying.
And that's because it's become so much more accessible.
Yeah.
But it's also... sorry, go on.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to say that people that love D&D could see why other people would love it. And the reason so many people are able to now is because, like she mentioned earlier, the Player's Handbook is free online, and you can play with people everywhere in the world. It's great.
Yeah, and it's been a big part of what we're doing with streaming and making sure that folks can see people like themselves playing D&D, also pretending to be people like themselves, and that's really important.
it even gives you a chance to play people who aren't yourselves, and you can experience the different walks of life there to like a small extent. It's like how someone might react to your character. It's like, oh, I never thought this would oh, is that how people in real life respond? Oh, and it leads to like, it lets you freely explore the world. And I think that can positively influence like IRL.
Yeah, for sure. And like when we had, and it can allow you to learn about yourself as well. Like when we had the author Kupplinger here, she was like, she discovered many things about who she was and her sexuality
that was amazing.
by being able to explore that in a safe space of role playing games.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's also, I think, really important for people who either want to work in the industry or just want to be playing in this community to know who the people are behind the products that they know and they love. And that's why I think it's so cool to be able to talk to you guys on Dragon Talk, or to when you're out and about at Gen Con, that like they actually get to meet like, oh, like you're one of the principal sculptors behind all of these amazing products. You're leading social media and all this awesome video content. Like for girls that are growing up, now they get to see like this industry isn't just men. Like there are women who are doing really important roles, and it's so important to get that out into the forefront and let people know who these women are that are actually making these products.
Mm-hmm.
Like you've said you've been playing for 10 years, Nina, right? Around
over a decade.
Over a decade.
Hard to really remember when I started.
But have you noticed a shift at all? Like hopefully, like have you seen like a change in like in the community makeup or how people have treated you as a gamer or in the industry?
Sorry. When I was a kid, I kind of had this idea in my head that these things that I was super, super into were not for me. Because I didn't see people like me playing. I didn't see people like me represented in the artwork. And that's absolutely shifted. Like I was talking to Selina recently about how I felt when I saw the illustration for the race human in the 5th edition Player's Handbook. Like I cried.
Oh.
It like really was an amazing moment for me.
Yeah.
And then even more recently, the Is It Mage that's on the cover of the Ravnica source book.
Yeah.
Like it's just thank you. I didn't feel welcome always when I was younger, and honestly, I probably wasn't. And occasionally I'm still not. But, I think that's shifting, and I think people are starting to realize that people from all different walks of life can love this amazing thing.
Yeah. Yeah. And that was, like I was saying, it was a big discussion when the 5th edition books were being kind of art directed and thought of. And it's something that we hold up as a tenet, to this day, is to make sure more groups and people can see what it's like to pretend to be these amazing heroes and heroines and destroy good and or evil the way you want to. There's no qualifier on that, right? Like if you like to pretend and tell stories, that's all that matters.
It's for everybody. Storytelling is human.
Yeah. Yep. I've used that in interviews before, where it's like, in some ways it's what makes us human, right?
Absolutely.
Where like if you're sitting around a campfire when you're 10,000 years ago telling stories, you're basically playing D&D.
So D&D is not 45 years old.
It's 145,000 centuries
million. Old. But yeah, that is true. Selina, have you noticed, like, what's been your take or experience working as a woman in this industry?
Ignore the ice cream truck outside our window.
I'm hungry.
Never.
I can't. It's very enticing.
Why aren't we running out there
Is it Mr.
right
Softy?
now?
We never make it in time.
It goes too fast.
That's so sad.
I'm serious.
Anyway.
We tried.
You try?
Yeah.
That's so sad.
Once. Anyway, being a woman in the industry, it's Well, I love being in the gaming industry. It's so weird and creative, and I'm so glad I work at a company that like doesn't put me in a cubicle, and we don't have like the layers of bureaucracy and showing up to conventions and meeting other people like this. Everyone is more genuine in the gaming community. And I really like Wormwood is a company we're good friends with. I love everyone over there, and we're meeting more and more brands, and it's just fun. I really like this community, but at the same time, like there's also the occasional person who, even in a business setting, just because like I'm a woman who's also into what they're into, might make some like inappropriate sexual advances, and it's just like, no. This is still work, like, and just because I'm a woman in gaming, like it's because it was a little bit, the right way to phrase this would be that it is perceived as uncommon for women to be into nerdy things, and so it's like when I'm gonna use men as an example, when men find that I'm a nerdy woman, it's like something goes off and it's immediately fetishized, and that's frustrating. And so that's a conversation I sometimes have to have, and it's like, this is still professional, and just because we like the same things doesn't mean that I want to pursue this. I still get uncomfortable is what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
It's like a shame, but I've gotten used to it, and at like changing the conversation as soon as anyone might imply that like they want to sleep with me. It's like, oh, well, maybe we should all go together in a group setting. Oh, I love group activities. And then I leave before it's over, so I don't have to deal with that again.
Yeah.
That was really long. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay.
That's important.
It's hard. I mean, it's hard for me to insert myself into that conversation. So I'm a listener. I'm listening.
That's important.
Yes.
What do you think, Shelley?
Well, it's hard for me to comment on that on a podcast that is at the company that I work for. I'd like to talk about that. But yeah, no, I mean, I've worked at Wizards for 2 decades now. Two of them.
Congratulations.
Thanks. Thank you. And I've seen a lot. But I remember my first Gen Con. And I had only worked at Wizards for 2 months, and they were like, goodbye, you're going to Gen Con. And it's like back in the day when they used to send like the entire company, like so many of us went to Gen Con, but it was a really weird, sort of unsettling experience to be there, because the only women that were there were like pretty much other women who worked at Wizards. And this is back when like we would go and we would demo the games ourselves. We had a big booth. And I barely knew how to play Magic. And they were like, teach people how to play Magic. And I'm really sorry, because 20 years ago, there was a lot of people in Milwaukee that did not learn how to play Magic correctly. Because that was me teaching it. I was like, I don't really know what I'm doing here, but I think you're like tapping that and like attacking and stuff. Okay. But it was like all dude. Like it was like
go to Milwaukee and clean up on the Magic circuit.
Yes. That there was like, but it was like all like men basically. And Selina, like a lot of what you were saying is like, we were not booth babes. We were like, just like women in like schleppy polo shirts with a Wizards logo on them. Like we're obviously not like standing, like drawing attention to ourselves. We were just employees of the company. And yet there were so many comments about like, the way like they would talk to us or make comments about us or like call us booth babes, and it's like, ew, I'm trying to teach you how to play this trading card game. And like, Granted, I'm doing a really bad job at that, but you don't get to comment about, you just can't make these innuendos and these other like just really inappropriate, uncomfortable comments.
And it's almost unfortunate because I feel like I can't even joke around or show like even like a friendly side, because as soon as like I'm nice to some of these people, definitely not all of them, this is my personal experience, I don't speak on behalf of everyone.
No.
My personal experience with some people in the industry, as soon as like I'm nice to them, it's like, oh, she's flirting with me. And it's like, no, I'm just, sometimes I'll just be interaction. I'll be asking them about their work or something, and it's like, well, do you want to get a drink? And it was like, no, I just wanted to talk about magic for like 5 minutes. Damn it.
Yeah.
Well, just to bring around back again to what's happening now is really interesting to me. Is my daughter's been going to a camp with Shelley's kids and kid. Sorry,
Kid.
You don't have to. I thought you had 4.
Don't ever say that.
But one of the fascinating things is I've been working on D&D. They know I played D&D with my kids, and I haven't taught them magic yet. And some of the boys at the camp were playing magic, and my daughter's like, "Oh, I want to play with you," and they're like, "Okay, yeah, we'll teach you." And then she came home last week and taught me a new way to play magic that the kids at school had taught her. And I was like, oh, that's really, I've been doing this for decades too, and been around magic for so long. And here, this is my daughter teaching me something new that she learned from someone from her peers. And I like that because it's, I don't know, I feel like a lot, obviously nothing, it's never going to go away, the things you guys are talking about, but I'm hoping that by the changes that are going through society now, that more and more stories will feel like gamers are gamers, not in a let's get together type of way.
It's a small section.
Will. Like I know my first convention, there were not like Shelley said, there were like no women there, and there were a lot of actual booth babes, which is something else entirely.
Yes.
But at conventions these days, like some of them I have gone to, I feel like it's a near even split.
Yeah.
And I think this visibility and interacting face to face and seeing that people are just people is really going to shift this perspective.
So to circle back on the Gen Con thing, that was like Gen Con 1999. Like that was a long time ago. So I'd been to many, many Gen Cons in between.
Many of our listeners weren't even alive.
No, they weren't. Seriously. Many of our coworkers weren't even alive. I was just talking to someone earlier. Like we had a company meeting yesterday. I looked around the room and I'm like, these are children. You're like, they're babies. But that's because, again, I'm a lich. I am. But all these other Gen Cons are like maybe 10 years later, there were more women and families coming. And I clearly remember they had activities for the ladies that were like spa day, like basically while your man is throwing down some dice and this in the convention center, you can come sit out here and you can get a pedicure or like a neck massage or something. And like, but what if they want to play? But it was more like, oh my, this is the response. There appear to be women coming to like conventions now. So like, let's find activities for them to do. And I'm sure that in a lot of cases, they were actually like, those events were always full, by the way. Like there were people that were like, heck yeah, I'm going to get a neck massage. It's actually a very good idea. But it was like, well, that's the response to all these women coming. And then like a few years later, there were lots of children, lots of women, lots of men, lots of families. And it just was like, it showed that like, women were feeling more comfortable about coming to a convention and actually sitting down at a table and actually playing a game alongside whomever is there. And it just felt more welcoming and more like the demographic is shifting and this is a good thing overall. And by the time I went to my last Gen Con, there was no issue. I was still wearing the schleppy polo shirt, but I no longer had to demo the games. But still, like, it felt like more at home. So and that's been Gen Con for many, many, many years. And that's been conventions, I think, some of these bigger shows for many, many years. But it does show like there definitely was.
There's a progression.
There's a progression. And I think that is true for this whole industry. I hope we keep going in the right direction.
Also, business idea. D&D game while you're getting a neck massage.
Yes. Or a pedicure.
Or why not?
D&D a
manicure
cure.
might be difficult with the.
Yeah.
Yes.
We have to come up with a catchy name. We don't got it yet.
Remember when they used to have the pedicures with the little fishies that would eat, like they supposedly ate?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
Anyway.
maybe we could put like kraken in the water or something. Let me keep thinking about
Yeah,
this.
let's mull on that.
I don't know why people don't want to get my D&D pedicures.
It's like mind flayer tadpoles in there. Just.
Oh, I hate it. I hate it
Oh
so
my
much.
God. Yeah.
Well, thank you for calling in. We're really excited about everything that you guys are creating, kickstarting. You know, I can tell that you guys are now excited to go to any convention.
I know. I feel like that was like ended on like they're great. It's a great show. Like everything's fine.
It's only going to improve.
Yeah, and we're looking forward to Gen Con. We hope people stop by booth 1301 and say hello.
Yes.
And roll some dice, slay some
Yeah, we're
monsters.
running games, so
Awesome.
Yeah, we're running them like 2 to 3 times a day, depending on what we have going on. And there are tickets. I think there's 1 slot left, and there's the inevitable no-show. So if you like hang out around the booth at the times in the events, you can probably get in on one.
Very cool.
And where can people find out about you guys personally? Where are you located on the social media?
So I'm on Instagram at Nina, but it's NIHNAH, and on Twitter at Nina Art. That's NIHNAHART.
And on all social media platforms, I am at literally Selina. That is the word literally with Selena. Some people get confused.
I'm like, yeah, you got Selena as.
Everyone says that. Yeah, at literally Selena. That's me.
Sweet. And of course, Dwarven Forge has got lots going on.
Yes, Dwarven Forge on everything except Instagram, where it's Dwarven Forge official.
But if the person that owns the Dwarven Forge account wants to give it to us, we're into that.
How much?
It's you, Tito.
Do they get terrain for life?
We can talk about it.
Call us.
Well, the both of you are amazing and creative, and I think you're doing a lot for, changing the industry and making it what we want it to be going forward. So we applaud you guys for that.
Yes.
Thank you.
As does the community, clearly.
Yeah,
They
right?
love you.
Based on the response, right?
Yeah. So keep doing what you're
Dwarven
doing.
Forge fans are great.
The
Awesome.
best fans.
Yeah.
Best fans. All right, guys. Thank you so much. Good luck in Indianapolis, and we'll connect more in the future when you got more stuff going on, because I feel like there's so much more to talk about.
There really is, but we'll
Endless.
talk later. Leave it on a cliffhanger.
Okay.
I know, right? ...
I want more.
What's going to happen next?
Meanwhile, I'm going to go back and look at every piece of Dwarven Forge terrain we have around this building and find secret things.
Secret things.
Yes.
The little touches. No, what was it called?
Thoughtful
Thoughtful
touch.
touches.
Thoughtful touches. We got to start doing that on this podcast. We'll create
Being more
audio
thoughtful.
Yeah, being more thoughtful.
You like spell one word wrong in each sentence, and
And they'll figure it out.
Yeah.
It's-
Neighbors are
It's
smart.
not
They
a
will
typo.
figure it out.
They will find it.
Yes. Not a typo. It's a puzzle.
It's a puzzle to be solved.
It's a
that's
thoughtful
what I
touch.
say on my Twitter. Yeah, it's totally
It's literally Selena. All right. Thank you, guys. You guys are the best. See you
Go
later.
get some ice cream now.
What?
Ice cream.
Bye.
Hey.
Thank you, all of you who
I
have
love
been
them.
listening for the last 3 hours.
Holy cow.
We have got one more hour for you, sans Shelley.
Wow.
But I will be here with Mr. Chris Perkins and Ms. Kate Welch doing a random character
That's
generator
going to be fun.
together, all 3 of us. It'll be really fun. I can't wait. And we are going to take a short break. Again, in case you are looking for us next week, I will not be here.
TBD.
Potentially,
I don't
Shelley
think
may
so.
be here doing some awesome interviews, making things happen. If not, we will be back in 2 weeks' time, live streaming here on twitch.tv/DND, making things happen.
Yeah.
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 All right. Bye, you guys.
Good day, all.
Yeah, that's it. All right. Let's break it up.